It's time to get chiseled with Rob Commodari.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a live version of Chisel. Today, we're with Steve Rizzo. Steve Rizzo, former comedian, now personal growth and development inspirational speaker and author. And Steve goes around and inspires people to be the best versions of themselves, inspires them to get through their challenges and with the right mindset. So today, Steve, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Rob. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's always great to see you. And we're going to talk a little bit about mindset today. So we, in the past on the show, we've talked a few times, and a lot of times we've talked about some of your history, your challenges, getting through the comedian life, then leaving that and getting to your professional life. But you had to have the right mindset for that. So how did you develop that mindset over time?
Well, it's a term, and a lot of people, when they go on a self-help quest, you hear people say, you become what you think about, your thoughts create your reality. And then you have that saying that's called attitude is everything. And I just when I started on this self-help quest to better myself, I just realized that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your attitude are all components that make up your mindset. So that's why I came up with, if you go to my website, it says Steve Rizzo, the Mindset Adjuster. And your mindset is, no matter what it is that you want to achieve in your life, if you want to raise a family, well, your mindset is everything. If you want to achieve a particular goal, a health goal, a physical goal, and you're going to the gym, your mindset is everything. If you want to be the best that you can be in any given field, your mindset is everything. If you want to learn how to and make sure that you're enjoying the process of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, your mindset is everything. And I think it's things become easier for an individual when they know that it's all about your mindset. And the key is that you are the creator of your mindset on any given day.
So, Steve, we are go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, so you just made the comment, we're the creator of our mindset. So it's a choice, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
It's always a choice. Yes. Yes.
Now, say I'm a young person, in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm facing challenges, and I haven't experienced or been introduced to the personal growth and development field. Where would you tell that person to start? Because the world, by I guess example or whatever, goes to the negative mindset first.
Yes.
So that person has a challenge, and it's like, oh, woe is me, or I can't believe this is happening to me, or why me? So how do you groom or introduce that person into this personal growth and development?
That's a good question. I wish I had the answer. No, I do. Here's the thing.
We'll end the show right now then.
Let's start off with this right now. It's the biggest lesson that I learned in my life. And trust me when I say, Rob, I learned it the hard way. It's what truly successful, happy, optimistic people know about life. They know without a doubt that the thoughts that they have about any challenge in their life will ultimately determine the quality of success and happiness that they're going to have in regard to that particular challenge. Now, contrary to what some of your viewers may think and what a lot of people think, it is not just the situation, it's not the event, it's not just the circumstance that takes place in our lives that determines our quality of life. It's really how we think about these things. And it's not your thoughts within themselves that gives them great power, it's what your thoughts create. See, your thoughts will create, first of all, your thoughts can either minimize or maximize the effect that any challenge has on you. And it's not your thoughts within themselves that gives them great power, as I was saying. It's what your thoughts create. Now, this is what constitutes your mindset. I'm going through a progression here. See, because those thoughts will eventually create the beliefs you have about that particular challenge. In fact, your thoughts create your beliefs. The beliefs that you have, that anybody has throughout their entire life, the beliefs you have about race, sex, religion, education, the beliefs you have about your family and each individual in your family, the beliefs you have about your neighborhood, the beliefs you have about politics, the beliefs you have about anything are formulated over a period of time through a consistent way of thinking. Your thoughts create your beliefs. So hold on to that. Your thoughts create your beliefs. Now, here's where the mindset starts getting really intense. Your beliefs write the story of your life. The thoughts that you have about anything over a period of time will create your beliefs. Your beliefs write the story of your life. Now, here's where this progression continues. The mindset formula continues. So those thoughts create the beliefs, and those beliefs will create the way that you feel about a particular challenge. Now, this is not only just a key to your success and happiness. This is at the very core. The way that you feel on any given day is at the very core of your success and happiness, because a state of feeling good is the fuel that drives motivation and inspiration. Now, think about it. It's absolutely impossible to stay motivated throughout the day if you are harboring negative emotions or if you have a bad attitude during the process. The number one reason why people consistently fail in business and in life, it's not because they're not smart enough. And it's not because of the challenge within itself. It's because somewhere along the way, positive momentum ceases. And the reason why positive momentum ceases is because the individual is focusing all of their energy on what isn't working. They're not even aware that they're doing it, leaving no room at all in that brain of theirs for positive thoughts to seep through so that they can come up with healthier alternatives and deal with the next challenge that will inevitably follow. Now,
So, Steve, go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, I was just going to cut you off there and say, so I'm hearing you right. You're talking about your thoughts. They create your beliefs. Your beliefs lead to feelings. And then you talked about feelings, you inspire you or motivate you either way. Is that correct?
Exactly. We're just talking about challenges right now. I'm just giving you one example because you're right. It does go the other way too. Because if you're starting off with a healthy attitude and healthy thoughts, your brain is geared to being optimistic. You're going to create a healthier belief system. It's going to cause you to feel empowered. So your day is going to get better as it goes along, regardless of your challenges, because you know there's something within you that can meet that challenge head on. But here's where the cycle continues. So your thoughts create your beliefs create the way that you feel. Now, those feelings will formulate the attitude that you have on any given day. And that's why when people wake up, and the attitude, that attitude will lead to the actions that you take. And the actions that you take lead you to the outcome. It's a cycle. And sometimes it's a vicious cycle that we create and we're not aware that we're doing it. So if you're waking up in the morning and the first thing that you're focusing on is the grueling day that you had the day before, and you didn't even get out of bed yet, you didn't even take the covers off, you're thinking of the irate people, all the stuff that didn't get done and all the stuff that has to be done on that day, you're going to wake up believing that it's going to be another one of those crappy days. And that, without you realizing it, is going to make you feel like crap as you're taking your shower, as you're eating your breakfast. And then those feelings are going to create that attitude that you're taking to work. And maybe what if you're in traffic? And then you're in traffic, you're going to be late. That just frustrates the mindset even more. So before you know it, you're starting your day. People start their days and their energy is rock bottom and they're not even aware of what they did to themselves. Think of the responsibility you have on any given day. Your energy level has to be cranked. It has to be up here. That's your choice and your responsibility.
So at the beginning of it all, though, it all starts with the thought. So you have to be one has to be aware of those thoughts. One has to be able to catch
Yep.
themselves in a negative thought mindset.
Yes.
Let's face it, everybody goes through it. I don't want to talk negative or be negative, but I think the fact of the matter is most people go, and the world and society leans to the negative right away.
Yeah.
So what does it take, or how do you encourage somebody to really be aware? Because, like, for instance, I wrote this book. You see, this thing behind me, the poster behind me, Better Than You Think, developing awareness to live a more fulfilling life. I think awareness is at the very root of everything we do, whether it's gratitude, whether it's our thoughts, our actions, whatever. You have to have this mindset, as you say, to be aware of, oh my gosh, I just said a negative thing. How do I change that? So how do you coach somebody?
Well, you just said it. The awareness is the key that sets you free. And something else I want to add to that. Sometimes those thoughts come out as words. And if what you think is what you get, then what you say out loud is what you ask for. And if you're mumbling to yourself and you're saying, oh, this is going to be another one of those shitty days, and you're thinking about the irate person and you're actually reliving it, you're intensifying an already negative belief system, causing you to feel even more emotionally distraught. It's amazing what we do. It's like a cyclone of negativity, a whirlwind. And people go their entire lives thinking that they're being screwed. So when you become aware, that's the key. You have to become aware of what you're doing. As soon as you could say to yourself, oh God, I'm doing it again. At that moment, you enter into a state of awareness. You are not the thought, you are the observer. You're observing what's happening. This is very simple. It's not easy to imply, but once you start implementing this, life becomes easier. And then you say to yourself, in that state, as soon as you become aware, you're now the observer. And in that moment, the negativity ceases immediately, because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Right now, your brain is aware, like, uh-oh, I'm doing it again. And you enter in this realm, what I call a state of other possibilities. And you start asking yourself these power questions, like, how is my day going to be if I hold on to this? I got a business meeting with a very important client today. If I go in with this attitude, how is this going to affect the outcome? Whoa, it's my kid's birthday today. I got to get out of this, and I love my children. I love my wife. I want to enjoy this day. And then all of a sudden you start calming down. The more you become aware, the easier life becomes, because you're giving yourself other alternatives on how to deal with this. And then after you say, yes, okay, this still might be a challenging day, but you know what? I've dealt with challenges before, and there's something within me that can meet this challenge head on. I know I can do this. This is not easy, but it can be done.
Well, it can be done. So you remind me of two things. One, I just interviewed a guy. I released it, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. The podcast I did with Thomas Blackwell. He did this. He wrote this book, The Liberty of Our Language. The Liberty of Our Language Revealed, talking about the words we use.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how, like, we say things and we don't even realize that we're saying negative words. Like I'll give you, for instance, it snowed a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it was a little icy. So two things. My snowblower breaks on my second run, and then a normal shovel really wasn't working with the thickness of the ice and snow. And it's like, oh, you stupid shovel, you dumb snowblower, so you're throwing this negative energy at it. Yep. So you start right away with this negative momentum, negative energy, and negative things come from that. And he tells a story that he did an experiment with his daughters, where they took 2 jars of water and put a lid on them and wrote a message on a piece of paper, taped it to them. The one jar was all negative words. Oh, I hate you. You're an idiot. You jerk, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote it and put it on a piece of paper. And the other jar, I love you. You're awesome. You're beautiful. Right. And he taped it and put it on a piece of paper. Put both jars in the freezer. The next morning, the jar with all the negative words was shattered and had fallen into it was all over the place in the freezer. And it's a true story. He did it. And it's just, like I read his book and I'm like, I catch myself all the time using language that I really shouldn't use or words that I shouldn't use, that I have to coach myself to turn it around. Like, for instance, the word challenge, struggle, hard. Yeah. How do you change those words? Like, I could say the market is off a little bit. However, I got a world of opportunity in front of me. Something
Exactly.
like that, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, and
go ahead.
I was just saying, the other thing you made me think about is you use the word observer. I think it was Andy Andrews. I think it was Andy Andrews who wrote a book, The Noticer. So it's like you step outside yourself and you're just noticing everything by observing. And you have to observe yourself. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
But some people just get caught up in that syndrome that it has become a part of their personality. You know, you're setting out to achieve a goal, right? And everything's going fine. Then a lot of people, as soon as they hit the first wall, first challenge, they go on this rampage. I knew this was going to happen. Every time I try to do something, it never works out. I'm always going 2 steps up, 5 steps back. Everybody else has what I want. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy enough. Some people call this negative self-talk. I call it self-curse talk, because you are literally casting a spell on your life. And if there is anything that's going to keep you from achieving the things that you desire, it's because of negative self-talk. If you're having a tough time enjoying yourself during the process of whatever it is that you are trying to achieve, it's because of negative self-talk. The great poet, 13th century poet, I love this saying, Milton, says the mind is its own place. It could create a hell of heaven or a heaven of hell. That's a heck of a statement. And what he's saying here, it's not what happens, it's how you identify with it. How are you identifying with it? Because I know people where wonderful things could happen to them, and I know a woman, true story, I'm not going to mention her name. Years ago, I always said she had a severe case of the droopy dog syndrome. Remember that cartoon character, Droopy Dog? Always breaking down, something's going to happen, and everything happens to me. That's her. But listen, I got to tell you something, Rob. This woman won $10 million in the lottery. Now, you would think that she was ecstatic. Do you know what she focused on most when people said to her, congratulations? She immediately started saying, yeah, but the government's going to take half, and I'll only wind up with not even $5 million. This isn't fair. And it's like, are you kidding me? But that's a perfect example, because that's what I'm talking about. People are stuck in that zone. They're conditioned. Their subconscious that runs 97% of your life is controlling their lives. Even when good stuff happens, they're nervous that something bad is going to take it away, or there's something interfering with their happiness. And that's why I say mindset is everything, and that we are the creators of our success and happiness. And that all depends on the mindset that you're creating on any given day throughout your entire life. And it works the other way around too. I know people, you've heard some of my stories. My brother Michael, 100% disabled from the Vietnam War. The mindset that he created, which is the reason why I do what I do today, falls second to none. He turned his life around when people said he only had a few months to live. You know, you could learn from other people. If people who are in that negative zone and they're stuck, rather than complaining about what you don't have, why don't you stop feeling jealous of those who do have and find out the mindset that they created? What is it that they did to get them to where they are, even though life threw crap at them day in and day out? Learn, because
that success leaves clues, right?
Excuse me?
That success that they've had leaves clues.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We are more in control of our lives than what we think. And that's the purpose of this podcast right now. But people just don't realize it. When I give my workshops sometimes, I'll be talking about this, and there are some people, some will sit there like this, and you could see, I could read their minds. Well, you don't know what I'm going through. Like, what I'm saying is crap. And of course, it could be crap. You could take it as crap if you want to. And then there were those that will say, yes, I understand, but soon as you hear that but, they don't get it. And my response to that is, no, there's only one but, and that's the one you're sitting on. There are no buts. There's no buts because I know it's going to follow the but. Yeah, but you don't know what happened. I know someone in one of my workshops that every morning she woke up and it was because of a fellow employee that she couldn't enjoy her day. And I looked at her and I said, well, explain it to me. And the whole workshop, everyone's listening. It's just going, well, I wake up in the morning and I'm just thinking of the stuff that she did the day before. She never does her job. She never does it right. And I always have to fill in for the stuff that she doesn't do. I said, so you really have a problem here. She goes, oh, no, it's not me. She has the problem. And I went, it's bothering you, isn't it? And she said, yes. I said, so then you can't admit that you have a problem? No, it's her. What about her? I said, no, she might have her own problems. But if you're waking up with shit that's bothering you, you have a problem. And it's how you're identifying with what's happening. You're viewing this whole thing from your perspective. And I told her, I said, you have a distorted perspective. You have a problem. And if you can't admit that, you're always the problem.
So, Steve, let me ask you this. You have that person and you're trying to coach that person up and they're oblivious, ignorant to what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they turn to you and say, you don't accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
What do you say to that person?
Well, if anyone would tell me that, I said, I'm accepting you for you or for who you are. Unfortunately, you're not accepting the way life works. You're not accepting the fact that you're not the creator of your success and happiness. You're not accepting the fact that you're the only problem that you will ever have. And somewhere within you, there's a solution waiting to be discovered. You're the one that has the problem. And whenever you're confronted with a challenge or a problem at all, it's never a matter of managing the situation. It's about how you manage your mind. Can you manage your mind and those toxic thoughts and those emotions that are the very things that are keeping you from finding the success and happiness that you want? Mindset is everything. Your mindset is everything.
Like I like to say challenges, problems, they're possibilities, they're opportunities. And you see that challenge and like, it's not like, oh no, another challenge. It's like, all right, how do I solve this problem? How can this problem make me better by solving it or helping the person out? It's an opportunity. It's like, I'm in a real estate business. I sell real estate and we get issues. Things come up. You have to put fires out. You have to negotiate, home inspections, negotiations. There's challenges along the way.
Yep.
And it's every time that challenge comes up, this is an opportunity for me to become a better negotiator, a person that uses better dialogue, a person that knows how to communicate better, the pros, the cons, the benefits, the detriments. It's all opportunity and it's all possibility to get you, to make you better.
That's right. That's exactly it. You know what, Rob, when I speak to people, I look out into the audience and I'll just say, like when I mentioned that statement from the poet Milton, the mind is its own place. It can make a hell of heaven or a heaven of hell. It's how you identify with it. And when I look into the audience and I say, I know for a fact that there are people in this audience, when you're confronted with a challenge or a problem, you look at it from the perspective of, okay, this is pretty tough, but I know there's something within me that can meet this challenge head on. They allow themselves to temporarily step away from those moments that are bringing them down. This is crucial. They allow themselves to temporarily step away from those moments that are bringing them down, stressing them out, or even causing intense pain. And they gradually focus on things that will lift their spirits, the things that will bring them joy, the things that they appreciate rather than things that they can complain about. And what really amazes me about these people is they make a conscious choice every day to find the laughter in between and even during the tough times. And we all have the power to do this. We all have, and it's such an incredible common sense success strategy. When you're at work, for instance, and you're confronted with a challenge or a problem, you feel the overwhelm. instead of trying to tackle the problem, allow yourself to temporarily step away and focus on the things that lift your spirits, that bring you joy. Bless the things that life has given you rather than cursing what life is currently throwing at you. Maybe it's just a matter of picking up your iPhone and looking at some family photos or something funny that your kids did. Allow yourself those sacred 2 minutes, 3 minutes to shift your mindset into the things that you're grateful for rather than cursing what you're confronted with at that moment. Every successful person, every happy person that went through extreme adversity that I know has disability, but they created disability. And they realized the more they looked at life from that perspective and gave themselves that temporary, as I say, sacred time out, the more it became a part of who they were. So that when you go back to the thing that's weighing you down, you're fortified with optimism, with gratitude. And the challenge doesn't seem as intense as it was before. And in my view, that's the ultimate empowerment. That's how you create an empowering mindset.
Yeah, it's Steve. It's about finding. I know it's cliche-ish, finding the silver lining in everything, but there is something positive in anything and everything. Like people talk about, oh, I failed, or I'm a failure. There's something, a bad experience. Every experience, no matter how bad it is, if you look hard enough, you can find something good in it. Everything that you like. Let's just talk. Let's on a snowy day. It's snowing, right? And people are like, oh my, like especially parents. I get it. I'm a parent. Oh, it's snowing. It's gonna, like, kids are going to stay home from school today. It just throws a monkey wrench into my whole day. For me, there's nothing. I mean, there's not much I like more than you wake up in the morning and the snow's falling, and everything's quiet, and time has slowed because that clock is still ticking, but time has slowed because guess what? If it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches, whatever it is, and they haven't plowed the streets yet, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so take the time to sit there. I love to go out and just stand there. You can almost hear the flakes falling, and you hear the quiet, and you just slow down time. And then you see the beauty. You see the beauty of it all. Now, once the plow comes through and the salt gets put down, you got slush, you got a mess and all that stuff. But enjoy what you can while you can, so that you can see the positive and the beauty and the awe and everything.
Yeah, that's a great point. But on the other hand, there are people that are thrown with intense stuff, and they could actually say with legitimacy, just say, how I was just diagnosed with cancer. Now, how am I supposed to find the good in that? And maybe at that particular moment, you can't find the good in that. And I respect that. However, there are other aspects of your life that you can shift your focus and way of thinking to, that can energize you, that can ignite your spirit. Maybe it's family that is by your side constantly. Maybe it's that special person, a grandson, a granddaughter, your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, friends that are always there for you, making you laugh. Maybe those things, if you focus on that, can help you to cope with what it is that you're going through. And if you can do that, you're ahead of the game, because those are the things that can help you to heal faster. You have that choice to wallow in what life is currently throwing at you, or you can shift your focus and way of thinking to focus on aspects of your life that are working and that bring you joy. Well, my brother Michael was in the hospital for like 7 months, St. Albans Naval Hospital. It was amazing what he went through. I'm not going to go through the whole deal, but the things that brought him joy was the fact that my mom and dad were there with him every single day by his side. Friends came up to see him all the time. The humor was off the charts with laughter. And if you asked him what was one of the main things that helped him to survive, it was because he had that ability to shift his focus and way of thinking to what was working rather than fixating on what wasn't working, to bless the things that life was given him rather than cursing what life currently thrown at him. I spent significant time with Christopher Reeve, who played the role of Superman, and what he went through, being paralyzed from the neck down. The only parts of his body that he could move were his lips, his eyes, and his eyebrows. He lived for 9 years like that and became incredibly successful. And I read his books twice. He told me personally what helped him to survive was the love that his family gave him. That's what he focused on because he knew that they needed him. And that's what empowerment is all about. You become empowered not because life is easy and you got this easy and that easy. Empowerment comes from your challenges. How did you respond to it? Did you fall apart? Did you allow that challenge to consume you? Or did you say, hey, there's something within me that can meet this challenge head on and give yourself half a chance to know that you're the creator of your mindset and to allow yourself to step away and focus on the good that's around you. I know it's not easy, but it can be done.
Yeah, so Steve, and saying that, like you brought the, if you get a bad diagnosis of cancer and whatnot. So this happened like just recently for me and a good friend of mine, and a good friend, a lot of people I know. But 3 years ago, a good buddy of mine got diagnosed with cancer, and it's called bile duct cancer, which is there's not a very high success rate. Anyway, so he battled it for 3 years. And then finally, back in early December, end of November, I think it was, I got a call from him, and we're really good friends. And he said to me, he goes, Rob, the end is finally coming. And I knew what he meant. I said, he said, Rob, they can't do anything more for me, and no more treatments, and we're done. And so over the next 3 weeks, just watching his attitude through the 3 years was awesome. I mean, he chose the positive. He chose to always be like, he had humor. He had his down days. Like one day we were talking, he said, Rob, I just had a meltdown. I'm like, Dave, you're entitled to that. You're entitled to that meltdown. But he always had this positive spin on everything. And those last 3 weeks, we talked a lot about death. And we all have people in our lives that die. I don't know how many people, and I know they're out there, have to get the opportunity to talk to someone who knows the end is near and who's willing to talk about the next place or the pending death, and what they can give and how they can inspire in those last moments, days, weeks, months, whatever it is. And at the end of it, I told him, like, it was 2 days before he passed, and I was at his house, and we just had a conversation or two, and I said, Dave, you gave me one of the best gifts I could have ever imagined that I didn't know existed. I just didn't know this gift existed. And I do this little presentation about what fills your cup. And we always think about the positive things that fill our cup, health and wellness, relationships, connections, contribution and impact, joy and contentment. All these things are like positive things we see and know that fill our cup. But have we ever paused and taken a moment to think that sadness can fill our cup? And I never saw it coming until this happened, because what happened in this sadness of what he was going through, in this sadness of these last 3 weeks, the conversations, the open and candid conversations we were having brought sadness, but it also brought reflection. And it allowed me to reflect on my life. And what happened is my wife suggested that I do like a private podcast with him. Like we did a Chisel podcast, but it wasn't for the public. But we created some questions for me to ask him to share with his wife and his daughters. Mm-hmm. And those questions are very tough, profound questions. And after I asked him, after he answered them, and I look back on it, I'm like, I got to reflect on those questions and answer them myself. For my family, for myself, what's the essence of my life? And so where I'm going with this is sadness can fill your cup if you wrap your head around it, you allow it, you welcome it in, and you allow yourself to reflect on what's happening. And when you are in a place of reflection, you allow yourself to live more fully, and that's where the cup gets full.
Yep, that's where it gets full, because you're accepting and embracing your plight, what has just happened. And now you take it from that point on and say, this is where I am. This is the point where I am. What can I do to live the life, that this challenge that was thrown at me? I think Christopher Reeve said it better. He said, my life isn't what I thought it was going to be, but there is joy, there is love, and there is laughter. And my brother Michael, when he was wounded after 22 feet of his small intestine were blown out on the battlefield or taken out on the operating table, the thing that helped him, and it wasn't easy, but he did it, he focused on what was working rather than fixating on what isn't working. You know, he was blessing the things that life gave him, that he was still alive. And his life wasn't going to be what he thought it was going to be, but he's still alive. And he did more than survive. He thrived. When he got out of the hospital, he went to college, and he went from 168 pounds and he went to 105 pounds. He went to college, graduated with honors in education and history and administration. He went back to the same school that he graduated from, and became a history teacher, then assistant principal, then superintendent of the schools. And he did it in that condition. I mean, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he just created his own mindset. And he never looked back on what he no longer had. He never looked back at the fact that he didn't have the body that he once had. And he had an incredible build, incredible body. He just focused on helping other people and doing what needed to be done to support his family. And that's how he lived way longer than what anybody thought he was going to live. And we all have the power to do it again.
Yeah. So Steve, thank you for sharing that. So going back to early in the conversation here, how do you coach someone to develop the right mindset?
By knowing that number one basic, what you think is what you get. And the more you focus on your lack, the more of that you're going to get back. What you think is what you get. Those thoughts in your words start the manifestation process of your life.
So control your thoughts.
Control your thoughts, because you have to realize that in time, those thoughts will create your beliefs. Those beliefs will create the way that you feel. We're going back to the beginning here. Those feelings will create your attitude. The attitude will lead to the actions that you take. All of this will lead. It's a cycle. And eventually lead to the actions that you take. The actions that you take lead you to the outcome. And it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, so Steve, though, before we finish up here in the next few minutes, let's dig a little deeper there, though. Okay, I could say, "Oh, Steve, just control your thoughts," right? Well, how do you condition somebody? Like for me, like I'm thinking, okay, positive reading, positive music, positive YouTube clips or whatever, podcast. So how do you condition somebody to start to learn to control those thoughts?
Well, by living in the moment.
Okay.
And by catching what you're doing. It's the awareness. Awareness is the key. You guys should write this down. Awareness is the key that sets you free. The more you become aware and nip those negative thoughts in the bud, if you're waking up in the morning thinking about the asshole that you have to deal with again, or the fact that major change is going on in the workplace, and you don't, you all the responsibilities on you, and you're saying no one else is doing their part, you've got to stop right there and become aware and say, this is the way it is. What can I do to better this? Who do I have to be in order to get this done? The more you do it, the more that becomes a part of who you are. So then eventually you're waking up in the morning and going, hey, there's something within me that's going to meet this challenge. And when I meet it and I do it, I'm going to become a better person. And that branches out into every facet in your life. How you raise your family, how you deal with your time off, and every challenge that hits you after that, it just hits you like, oh, here's another challenge.
Yeah.
It's the awareness, though. If you're not aware, you know why awareness is important? You can't fix something unless you know something's broken. And when you find out something's broken, then you have to pinpoint what the hell it is. That's why awareness is the key that sets you free. Because a lot of times you're not aware of what's going on. It's become commonplace. It's become a part of who you are.
That's great, Steve. That's great. I enjoyed this conversation. So we're going to try to continue this more consistently here in the future. Anything you want to say to wrap this mindset piece up, Steve?
No, that's it. That's all I have to say. What else do you want?
That's great. So, hey, real quick, let's just give a preview of the next conversation we're going to have. You said when we first before we got on, we talked about playing a little more in advance. So tell me just real quick, briefly, what do you want to talk about next time? So
next time, what we're going to be talking about is becoming a humor being. And trust me when I say this, it's not all what you think it is. There's more to your humor being than just laughter. and you're not going to want to miss this episode.
So we'll be back probably about another month, give or take. So
Yeah.
Steve, thank you so much for being here. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, leave me alone. No. go to my website, steverizzo.com. Go to the website, then scroll down and order my new book, Conversations with Bob. Or you can go to the Bob website, which is www.yourinnerbob.com. You can purchase it on Amazon. Practically everything that we talked about today is in that book.
And I've read it, and it's a great book. I really enjoyed it. So, Steve, thanks for being here today.
It is a great book.
You wrote it right. That's how you did write it. It better be great. And so, Steve, thank you for being here today, man. I really appreciate your time, your authenticity, and your willingness to help others get better.
Cool, man.
So,
thanks,
everybody. Until next time, let's go get chiseled.